So we're back on the Artist Talk series. I'm Mike and I run the Spray Days YouTube channel. Today's guest is one of my favorite members of the Weird Crew. He has a very unique style, stretching and bending images with his art. I've always been blown away by his work, so I'm really looking forward to getting an insight into his art. So let's jump straight into it with Luck from the Weird Crew. How's it going, mate?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. Sitting here in Berlin in quiet lockdown mode. Yeah, it's nice.
How is everything over there right now? Is it all a bit crazy?
Yeah, kind of. It's crazy, but it's also calm. But it's also hard to run a family while lockdown and try to stay at your business. And yeah, but it was a tough year, I can tell you.
Definitely. And it's been taking a toll on jobs and shows and commissions and everything, I imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, we are healthy, and let's hope we are getting through this all alive and fine, and also don't lose the power and the energy to get through this shit.
Yeah, exactly. It can be quite tiring after a while. I mean, we were told it was going to be a few weeks to start, and now we're getting on a year lost. Well, I say lost. We've had time to do stuff, but it feels
Yeah.
quite draining.
So, what's your question?
Yeah, no worries, man. No worries. So basically, with the artist talks, we love to just hear about a bit about an artist's life and about their career. So if you could tell us where you were born and where you grew up, that would be a great start.
Okay, I was born in the GDR, in a small town in the north of the GDR, behind the Iron Curtain. And it was quiet there. There's nothing to do actually, but my parents were like giving me the opportunity to discover art in a very young age. So I started with clay forming and whatever. It was like 4 or 5, and then from there I just was keen to draw and paint, and I just started like a community college in the afternoon and drawed and painted and drawed and painted, and eventually, with the age of 12 or 13 or something, I just discovered graffiti.
Yes.
Just by accident, and in the TV, it was a little thing in the TV, and I was like, "Oh, that's a nice thing." And I grabbed my spray buddy, who still paints with me.
Yes, yeah.
Until now, and we just got some cans and did our very first weird graffiti action, and I was like almost chased, and we said,
Really?
okay, we'll never do it again. And then after a while we just got hooked on graffiti. And
so that was who you wrote with. It was Spray. You started painting together.
Yes, absolutely. From the very first sketching or whatever, then I think we had like a year or something where we only sketched, and we couldn't imagine to do it with a spray can. And then at some point we said, okay, we have to try it. And then we went on from there. So
what was it that pushed you to do it? Was it seeing other people do it and you just thought, right, we've got to have a go at this? Or
there were like, I guess, 2 guys or something. We didn't knew who it was. It was really, imagine a small town where nothing was like, and then 3 or 4 tags and 1 small graffiti. That's all.
Right. So it got your attention.
It was like, and you had no internet or whatever, and we couldn't see what's happening, and we had no magazines, no nothing. We had to try to discover graffiti from the very first beginning on our own. So it was like, it was completely easy. If you look, it was fun to discover that.
Oh, mate, definitely. And where were you developing your style then? Where were you drawing inspiration from? Was it magazines and video?
It took like let's say half a year, then we knew the other guy who was tagging in town, and they also had really rare, a rare idea of graffiti, but so we could communicate and say, okay, yeah, this has to be like this and this and this, and we made our very first own rules. But after a year or 1.5, we discovered the whole universe of graffiti, because then we had the chance to go to Berlin and see what's happening there, because then we had also an eye for it. Before you don't do it, you don't have an eye for the things surrounding you. But if you're doing it, you just see, okay, there's the tag, and that's something. Yeah, and then we went on from there.
Yeah, totally. And were you traveling around much at that age? Were you getting out there as soon as you got to Berlin and everything and saw what was going on there? I take it you were there regularly. You were going back to paint often.
Yeah, kind of. We didn't have the chance to, because we had no train or something. We only could go there by car, but
Right.
we were like small kids, so we had no car. So it was like once a year we just left our surrounding and saw something different. But then we just, my brother was like working for the Deutsche Bahn, which is the train, like he was like commuting in the trains every day and worked there, and he brought us stuff. So he was also painting with us, but also working for the Deutsche Bahn.
Yeah. Oh man!
Yeah.
And did you always paint look? Was it always look? And where did that?
No. Look was just the very first thing I painted on a wall.
Right.
And it was just, I had a different name, but painted look. And then I painted a ton of different style names. And then when I came to Berlin, like in 2005, after I painted 10 years, I just said, okay, I want to change my name again. I have no idea. And then Spray also had a different name back then. And we both decided to go back to the very first word we ever painted was a spray can. And then, we decided to use these old words.
Nice.
So that's the story behind that.
Nice. That's cool. So it's the first name that you ever written. It's come a full circle, and now you're using it again.
Yes.
No way, man. No way. That's awesome. And so you said about a couple of incidents where you had run-ins. Did you get into much trouble? Because there wasn't much graffiti going on. So you must have stuck out like a sore thumb.
Yeah. I had multiple chases and also got caught. So also once I had to sleep for one night in the cell, but it was no big deal. But it was just drunken action. Like, I guess if you start very early, you get into trouble easily. If you just out there to destroy stuff, like to paint, whatever. I had some trouble, but then I decided to calm a little and go a little bit slower onto the walls, and it was a little bit more plan or whatever. And nowadays it's not really that I go so much illegally, but I still do it. But it's like on a Sunday at broad daylight at somewhere in an abandoned place or whatever.
When do you
and I know what the risk is. I'm not really but I'm not really into a high action mode or whatever.
No, man. It's not worth the risk. You're a family man now, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then I have to come back at like 7 and sit on table and eat with my family. So I can't
Best behavior
on the phone that I'm at the police station or whatever.
And another thing I was going to ask you about, I mentioned it in the introduction. So you're part of the Weird Crew, just such a wicked crew. I wanted to ask how that all came about, how it formed, how you got involved with those guys.
Yeah, we we knew each other. I had the design collective with Vidam, and through that we knew a lot of people from all over Germany and also from Austria.
Yeah.
And we also got invited to some festivals, and we knew. Then we met some of the Weird Crew members, and also Nitrous invited a lot of weirdos to Vienna, and we hang around there for like a couple of days, and then at another festival, like in the same summer, it was 2012.
Yeah.
I guess we just had a day off, and because it was raining, we couldn't paint. And then we sat in an abandoned warehouse, and we decided, okay, let's do a crew, because we knew each other very well. We know how to paint, and we like our style, and it fits perfectly. So we decided to form a new crew just for character painting, or like, yeah, let's say character painting, and or like mural painting. And then we decided, yeah, let's form a crew. And then we sat down, found a name, and yeah, invited some other people who went there back then. But we said, okay, they are cool. And then from that, it was done. And yeah, it was a good decision, actually. So yeah, it was
That's really
fun
cool.
from then.
And with that, with all your styles fitting so well, was that something that just came naturally, or did you sort of sit together and think we're going to go this route with it?
No, it was really natural. I was like, when we decided to form a crew, we already knew that we could paint together. So because yeah, you could see that from your imagination what we could have done, or what we could do in the future. So. And we were really like super happy to form such a crew with such a profound artist around. Everybody was really proud and was like, "Oh, the Weird Crew!" Wow.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, I'm a huge fan, man. I'm a huge fan of the Weird Crew. Just such sick styles, man. It's something totally different.
Yeah.
I think.
Wait, the connection is quite bad right now. Do you hear me?
Sorry. Yeah, I've got you, man. I've got you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
So, is there anybody that in the Weird Crew that you really like to collaborate with, that you think your style meshes with better than anyone else?
No, actually, I think it works with everybody. Yes, there are like some style wise, you could say, okay, this is a better match than with another person. But on the other hand, it's like, for me, it's more interesting to it's also interesting to paint
A mix of everything.
to mix it, like, because then it's really interesting, because then the contrast is higher, or yeah. And I didn't manage to do a duo piece with everybody, but I tried to. And yeah, I think in 10 years I painted with everybody, but also we paint with like 4 people, 5 people,
At once.
whatever.
Yeah,
I
man.
guess there are a lot of that coming.
It's something that you guys do really well, is all get together on a big wall. I mean, some of the stuff that you were doing in Detroit, which is something I wanted to get into with you, is the traveling side of things. And you had the trip over to Detroit, and some of them pieces were just mind blowing, man. I just wanted to ask you about that trip. What was the whole experience like? How was Detroit?
Yeah, we had a couple of travels beforehand, and in that year, or like the year before, Night just decided to go all in and travel around like a maniac, which is great. And we all were like, oh god damn it, how can he manage to do that? It was like super good, and he made so great walls when he was around on tour. And then he at some point he also were around Detroit already, so he had a show in Interstate Gallery, which is run by the One Times Run guys.
Right.
They do a lot of prints and whatever. And he could stay there for a month or even longer. He was already staying there, and because he wanted to prepare his show, and then he invited us, yeah, come over to Detroit, and we was like 2 months before, and we said, okay, we're coming, and we were like 6 people,
Yeah.
5, 6 people going over to Detroit, and we also managed to get a small group show with our stuff, and everybody brought some art, and we slept in the room upstairs of the gallery.
Yeah.
A huge loft. It was really great.
And what was the vibe in Detroit at that time? I mean, you obviously hear crazy stories about the place.
Yeah, that was the year, it was 2013, the year when Detroit went bankrupt. It was like completely nuts, because it was like lots of poverty and lots of abandoned places, burning houses, burned down houses, and there was like some streets, there was just one house, then there was like 100 meters only grass, and then the next house, and then it was going on forever. And imagine to live there, like some people sneaking on the dark corner, and you just driving with your bicycle through that. I was like, okay, it's not the safest place. Yeah, but it was also, on the other hand, it was a huge and really nice experience. And yeah, Montana cans brought in some spray cans. So we had like a storage room full of spray cans, and we had like 2 boom lifts, and we could just jump on the lift, go around, ask some owners of a house if we might paint his house, and most of the people said, "Oh, sure, why not?" It's like, yeah, go on for it, because they had nothing to lose, because we had the cans, we had the lift, they don't have to pay anything. We just was just holiday, perfect holiday for a painter.
Totally, man. And it seemed so well received by the community. I mean, from what we could see on the videos and everything, everyone just seemed so happy and blown away. I mean, you were getting great news coverage.
Yeah, people showed up with food, and like really loads of people were really thankful that we are brightening up their neighborhood. And we also stayed around a small area, because we couldn't go anywhere with our lifts, because we had to charge them at night, go there for like half an hour, and then go back in the evening. So yeah, but also like the TV showed up, like Fox News, and Anthony Bourdain, rest in peace, showed up, and it was kind of crazy. It was really crazy vibe.
Cool, man. And does it feel a lot? Does it pay a lot more to yourself when you paint in an area like that and you see it making an actual difference, as to painting in like a developed city that's having no problems, no troubles?
Yeah, it's nice to paint in such environments. I also painted in India, which was a completely different situation. But
I saw in Chennai.
Yeah, in Chennai, which is Madras. The name Madras, and then they changed Chennai. Yes, but on the other hand, in Detroit, it went completely the opposite after we left. Not because we painted there, but like the whole area where we stayed, Eastern Market, you could feel it already when we were there. It like turned into a hipster place.
Yeah.
And, rents skyrocketed. New developers came and built really huge houses, and then you say, okay, on the other hand, it feels a little bit like we help them to funnel money because this is a new hip place
Yeah,
because artists are there. So it's like
it's a weird
I
paradox.
also enjoy just to paint a piece nobody can see somewhere in the woods, and it's only for me. I do the photo and eventually I put it on Instagram, but that's it. And I don't really care if 100 people are liking it or 500. I don't give a shit about that.
Totally, totally. It's more about the painting and what you've got to say.
It's about the moment. Sometimes you just let off steam at the wall, and because you had a busy week or some arguments with a client or whatever, and you can just get your head a little bit free, and then go back at home and
Everything's
be
better.
super relaxed.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's it's nice that people appreciate it, but it's not really my first and my main goal. It's always a mix of both, I guess.
What
Also, I want to not only paint my name because I think that's kind of, I played that ego game for 20 years and then I decided to just let off that and paint something with a meaning on what I've found meaningful.
what is the meaning in your work? I mean, what are you trying to express with your art at the moment?
Yeah, that's a good question. I try to show the world as a place which is which was a lot of multitudes. Like you can just look at some circumstance and turn around and something completely different happens, and this can not be this might not be related to each other, but maybe it is. Like you driving with a SUV and look, and you know that it's burning a lot of fossil fuels, and you see like dried nature. Like this is like
The pollution.
You see the pollution or like whatever. It's just an example, a really rude example. But also, there's like a lot of in my art nowadays. There's a lot of technology. There's the core of technology because first I search the internet for what I want to explore visual things which are appealing me, and then I use these images to manipulate them and collage them and connect the dots, and then I paint them manually, and then on the other hand I try to nowadays just recently I tried to use also the analog painted output to animate whatever, like to give a next layer of technology on the others. So this will be the next step of my work.
Awesome.
I'm already started a project in Urban Spree where I have my resident now and paint there as a huge animation.
Wicked. Oh, that's exciting stuff. But there, we touched on technique a bit there. And I mean, you talked about your reference. I've always wondered, because with this stretching and bending of the images, are you finding photos and then are you doing that with computer generators, or are you doing that with your mind?
Yeah, I do it a lot with the computer, and sometimes when like the last piece I painted, it was like I only had a photo and had to do it with my hand, because after you did it like 20 times, you know how to do it even without any computer stuff.
Totally.
And some stuff you can't do with a computer.
Yeah.
Or you really have to go really deep into 3D, whatever.
Totally.
You don't want to do everything with the computer. You also, there's always a little bit of imagination also. There's not only, not only depend 100% on computer or on
100%.
technology. I also try to have imagination
Bring
inside
the art to it. Totally, man. Totally. And I mean, where did that concept come from? Was it a mistake? Did something happen on a screen that glitched and you thought that's sick? Or did you mean to do it?
Yeah, I didn't invent that glitch stuff, but when I studied art in 2000 or whatever, 2000 to 2005, and I had like one class where we had computer, how was it, like digital drawing.
Right. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
like
Okay.
2000. It was really drawing something by hand and scan and try to just color it or whatever. It was really rude. But also we had a really nice teacher who just pushed us to experiment, and I just really made my very first vector art stuff. And then by accident, I just stretched just a part of an image, and I still have that at a drawer somewhere. It's like an alarm clock which just stretched. Just you take that, and then from that I really liked the output, the visual output, and then I tried to. Then my teacher was like, "Ah, yeah, we can do this with a scanner, and just try to move the image on the scanner while he's scanning." And
Sick.
yeah, we work with that a lot, and just cutted it out by hand and just collaged it. And I totally forgot that, because I started to study design afterwards, and then I just got soaked up totally by illustration and character design,
Yeah.
which is another direction. There's like, you can see that already when you scroll down on my Instagram. You see this. There's like a break from the work I'm doing now. And before I did a lot of like skulls and characters.
Yeah.
And then I just switched to this old style. Like I switched to my old name. Like I tried to do something new or something I already discovered, but try to jump back there and do it again or do it better or whatever, and discover more from that.
Totally. Well, that was going to be a big question. I was going to ask you about how you even come about these themes, because I was looking through some old Instagram posts, and I saw the show, the Eastern German reality show that you did. And I was just thinking, how do you come about these themes to even think about making a whole show? How do you structure the show around a theme to start?
Yeah, that was like, I was like really concerned about politics in Germany when it was like 2015, where we had a huge refugee crisis, and it felt like in the early 90s, because in Eastern Germany where I grew up, there were a lot of Nazis, and they were really, I had a lot of trouble with them. I had to fight with them, and really got gang fights, like stupid, racist shit, and we had to experience that everywhere. Like they were everywhere. They just the community, they just entered the community centers for the kids and whatever, and it was like really hard to get through them, because we were the only people we were like a bunch of, like, let's say 20, and in our hometown, and there were like 200 of them. So
Really?
we had like had to hide every time and had to really be watching around. Was not a nice situation, but 2015, it felt like it's starting again, because at some point in the 90s, it was fading away a little, and then it was really tough again, really tough. And I was like discovering my own, I thought, what can I do? Like, is there anything I could do? I don't want to just put a sticker on my Facebook account photo and say I'm against it. I want to do something not only just that I say I'm against it, but I wanted to discover it for myself.
Yes.
So where is that coming from? What's my touching points with the situation? And I painted like 40 years of Eastern German history, which I experienced, and I searched in archives for visual output, and for instance, my uncle was working at the border, and they had to shoot at people who were fleeing. That was their order from the Stasi. So
crazy.
This is creepy. Imagine, you don't know, it's dark. You shoot, and in the morning you see who you shot. Like, it could be your neighbor or whatever. And I tried to discover where this anger of the Eastern German Nazi folks is coming from. The situation, like, how did they feel? How do they feel right now? It's like, I don't want to blame everybody. I don't want to say you're a Nazi.
You want to understand the situation.
I want to understand the situation. I don't want to say, okay, that's okay. I just want to understand where is the anger and where is the frustration and where is the hate coming from. So that's how and I was like, it was really interesting also, because it was so touching for me myself. And then I also felt it's really important for me, not just to put a show or something, but it was interesting for me. So I made these drawings, and then after a while, I didn't have any show on my schedule. I just painted, drawed. And then after a while, I just found a small gallery run by a friend, and he said, okay, yeah, let's do this. Let's make a little show. We made it, and that's all.
That's it. It was great, man. Some of the works, like, it was just really amazing. And reading some of the little scripts you'd written, it just gave a great insight to that time and the feeling that people had. I thought it was great.
Thank you.
And a question with that, with doing solo shows, I know with being part of the Weird Crew, is it good having other artists? So when you do group shows, does that totally alleviate that pressure of coming up with such a striking theme and doing such everything being involved around yourself?
Yeah, there's like group shows. I love to do group shows, and I love to do solo shows. I can't really decide. It's if you do a solo show. Yeah, I'm jumping through that because a solo show is so time consuming, and sometimes it's better just to grab some artworks and just throw them at people. That's it. If you do a group show, you don't have to bend your mind through concept, because I think I can speak for all the Weird Crew members. That they just want to, when they do a solo show, there has to be something which is like not only a random selection of artworks.
There's got to be a deep meaning. There's got to be a connection there.
Yeah, doesn't have to be a connection through all the artworks, because then it would just be whatever, all the 20 similar looking stuff. But I think everybody wants to discover stuff and then say, okay, this is a solo show, this is by me, whatever. So I think, yeah, a lot of people are doing it right.
Totally. Totally. No, it's awesome. It's awesome to see. And I mean, getting back off the gallery subject and back onto the traveling thing, we touched on Chennai. What was it that took you out to Chennai in India? And I mean, painting some huge murals non-stop. I mean, what was the thing out there?
Yeah. 2014, the Goethe Institute, which is institute run by the German government. They gave money to the Goethe Institute to bring German cultures into the world. Like they have like branches around the world.
Yeah.
Small branches, not just, it's like small offices where you can just do projects, and they just bring together artists from there and get a conversation with German artists. So there's like always a connection between those two parts. And they asked, no, I have to tell this differently. A guy who's doing a lot of cultural projects and exhibitions and festivals, he just asked us, like me and some other German artists, to join in and come to Chennai and make kind of a cultural exchange between German graffiti artists and in the what was it, like hoarding painters, you know, like these people who are painting big murals, but not murals, like cinema, advertisement, whatever.
Like adverts.
There were like a bunch of other people. It's like really was like workshops for kids at schools or whatever. So we did a lot of these activities and also did some murals around Chennai, which is like 10 million people, and I never heard about it. So it's a huge city.
What was your experience there? I mean, had you been to India before, or was that your first time?
No, it was like completely jump into the cold water, and it's like it was like we arriving there, and it was at night, and was still so hot. It was like, I can't believe it. It was so crazy, but it was super nice, really nice people, and we had like, it was also really surreal because as a European walking through the slums with a spray can and paint, I just asked people, hey, can I paint your house? And they say, okay, yeah, you can do it, because they didn't expect anything beautiful. So we painted something beautiful, and they were like, yay! And we had like always huge crowds around us, just seeing us painting, and they brought stuff. People are just driving by with their scooters and say, okay, you can tag my scooter. Like, imagine that. Like, people just wanted to have a tag on their scooter, and this wouldn't be like, it's absolutely impossible in Europe, because everybody hates graffiti. Like, the normal people hate graffiti, and they wouldn't have it. It was crazy. It was really
totally. I mean, that's good that they had that reception. I mean, it must not be something they're used to, seeing this level of artists sort of.
I think that changed now, because I think after we left, there were already some graffiti artists, but it was like on a level, was okay. Like, it remembered me back then to my early days when we had to discover graffiti on our own. But I guess there are a lot of good artists in India who are painting. But at that moment, I only saw stuff which remembered me, which was really like not on a toy level, but on an amateur level.
Yeah, totally.
But now I guess it changed because they saw a lot of graffiti action and they said, okay, yeah, we have to do something about it. Like we have to do our own graffiti, and now they don't like it anymore because they do the damage right now.
Oh
So
man, that's awesome. Some inspiration
that's how
for
it
the
is.
locals.
Yeah, but it was really nice. It was a really nice trip. It was 10 days,
Yeah.
and yeah, we saw a lot of stuff and painted a train station and I painted a huge cinema. And,
Yeah, man. The work was really cool, man. The work was sick. I loved some of them murals. It was awesome to look at. And as well, I mean, we spoke about America before, Detroit. Did you go on sort of a road trip from Detroit to like, did you go to St. Petersburg and New York, or was that a different time?
Oh, it was a different time. I was there 4 times and always at different spots, like 2 times in Florida and 1 time in New York and 1 time in Detroit. It was always painting trips, so I didn't have any holiday.
No.
You know the US by painting and by people who just brought us in and stayed with us or whatever. So I think it was like for me, like yeah, I had some days off to walk around New York City and Detroit also, but most of the time I was painting.
Definitely, definitely. When you're walking around New York, I mean, are you a fan of murals and street art yourself? Is there anybody that you sort of look out for their work?
I haven't seen that much newer work in New York. When I was running around there, I saw a nice piece of Club 7. They're from Berlin and I know them. So I was like, ah, okay. People from home. Yeah, I enjoy a lot of people who are doing murals and whatever, but I didn't saw any stuff in New York.
No. Who just in general inspiring you? Who are sort of your influences? Who sort of do you like?
It's hard to say. Like, there's so many. There's so many, and there are always new persons. I discovered just recently, and I see that they have like 300,000 followers on Facebook or whatever. And I would never saw them, and I'm like, how can I never saw them? And also, I'm really bad with names.
Oh, me too, man.
You ask me this question, and I tell you like always, I don't know. Yeah, there are some, and like what I like really is Neo Rauch, like the style of Neo Rauch. He's a painter from Germany, he's Leipziger Schule.
Right.
I really, I'm also not really. I like graffiti, yes, but for my art, it's like different. Like Tony Craig, for instance. Do you know Tony Craig? He's doing sculptures. It's fantastic. He's from the UK. You might look him up. Tony Craig, Cragg.
Right.
Super good guy. He's like 80 right now. Right. So yeah, David Hockney, or like there are a lot of painters I really enjoy. There are a lot of graffiti artists I enjoy, but I also enjoy like photographers, like how fuck I have like my stuff is over there. You have to look it up, but I knew that this question was coming, but I didn't prepare.
That's cool, man. That's cool. So photography is a big inspiration for you. Are you into photography for yourself?
No, that's something I didn't discover, but my fiancée is a photographer, so it's in the family. So yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. And do you ever use?
I enjoy her photos. It's like this one.
Oh wow! Yes, sick. Oh, awesome. And do you ever use them for reference for your paintings?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
So sometimes we kind of collaborate. I just steal her photos and use it as something.
And we touched on favorite artists then and collaborating there. Is there anybody that you'd love to collaborate with that you just haven't had the chance yet?
Oh, God damn it. I'm drinking wine here.
Don't worry, man. Don't worry. I mean, I've seen some wicked ones you've done in the past with like Low Bros, and it just goes on. The list goes on.
Yeah, I really would love to paint a mural with Satwan. I know him by Satwan, please, let's do it.
Put it out
I
there.
don't know if do you know him? Like he's doing like more abstract stuff.
Right.
He was also with me in Chennai.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Totally. That's
And
wicked.
I really enjoy his artworks and would love to just paint with him together because we just paint side by side, but we didn't do a mural together. So
That'd be cool.
I would love to work with him. And I guess there are a bunch of other people, but at some point it comes and then it happens, and I don't plan that so in advance. When I just recently I tried to have some beers. Yeah, let's do a wall together, and he was like, I have a wall. I have to check it out. Let's talk in 2 weeks or something. And then maybe it happens, but maybe it doesn't happen because situation is always like different.
Have you found at the moment with that? I mean, obviously you travel a lot. With how the lockdown is at the moment, is that restricting everything? Are you sort of feeling confined in the way that you can't just get a call and pop off to Chennai or America to paint a wall?
I do that right now. But I don't think that it's possible right now. And I do also at some point I couldn't do it because I have a family. I have to plan in advance if I have to paint something abroad or whatever.
Yeah.
And also right now I really slowed down on traveling because obviously I stay at home and also work a lot, and which is also the other point of because most of the traveling trips are just almost you get some money, but you couldn't, if you want to live from it, you have to do it.
It's an ongoing thing. You go in and go. You need to keep on the route.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can just say okay, but I just also at some point I was like, okay, I'm done with traveling for that reason. I just want to do some proper shows. I don't want to do some proper art, and you can't do that while standing on a scaffolding or whatever. So,
is that what you're working on at the moment? Have you got some plans for some up and coming shows?
Yeah, I'm not really up and Pascal from Urban Spray and me, we are planning some screen prints. We are planning a big wall. Like I said, we'll paint the wall at Urban Spray again.
Oh, the big wall at the front.
Yeah.
Sick.
I painted this one last year, and then I wanted to do it again. And because I want to do an animation, I want to paint frame by frame onto that stuff, and to get some motion into my glitches, whatever.
Oh, wow, that'll be amazing.
And that's also the next step. And it's a 6 month project to paint one wall in 6 months. So it's like,
jeez.
And I will do some studies, like small canvases, a bunch of, and we see what's happening when I have like a handful or something. I don't know. But we are already thinking about doing a small pop-up show or whatever. I don't know. Not sure. We are still in discussions, and we don't know what happens with the Rona. How long we can just because he also he can stay open, but if you do a show, right now nobody's coming. And also
Strict rules.
yeah, he told me like he's doing more sales online than at his gallery.
Yeah,
So
it's such a
yeah,
shame because Urban Spree there, the whole point is, I guess, to walk around and get engulfed in the culture there. I mean,
absolutely.
and that place is doing such great things. I mean, every time I'm in Berlin, I make sure to stop by. I was
Yeah,
looking
they are
to catch
great people.
Russia. It's
It's
just a wicked place.
it's a nice family too. So it's like it feels like family because at some point there are like some small studios with some artists. At some point, you know everybody, and it's like really a nice place to have your studio and work with these people.
And has art been always been a big part of that, of meeting friends and part of your life? Have you always seemed to find good friendship through that?
Yeah, absolutely. Almost all my friends are also artists. So like Spray is a graffiti artist, but also an architect, and also my old school homies who used to spray. I also know them through graffiti somehow.
Nice.
So
it's a small world.
It's a small world. So.
That's wicked, man. And I mean, where do you see your future going now? I mean, is it going to be walls? Is it going to be more studio work? I mean, we've talked about it all, but just in a general sense.
Yeah. I also have like on the side, I do a lot of illustration and animation.
For sure.
So I'm creative director of a really small animation studio.
Nice.
Like 5 people, 4 or 5 people. Depends on the jobs, but also I do a lot of illustration. And yeah, for the future, I want to just do my thing, stay independent, as I wrote you earlier. And that's like, also I want to do some more shows or whatever, but I'm not planning straight in advance right now. I guess it will come back in 2 years or something.
Yeah.
Because then the baby is a little bit, I'm fresh father, small baby.
Congratulations, for sure.
Yeah. And yeah, I think when she's a little bit older, I can just do a little bit more. Right now, it's like,
oh really, man, you've got to enjoy that. You've got to enjoy them first years for sure, man.
Yeah, and the Corona was like also okay for this because I stayed at home.
Oh man,
a lot. Enjoyed like my fatherhood.
Right, so. Totally. That it's a blessing in disguise almost.
Yeah, I know.
Well, that's awesome, man. And I mean, I can't thank you enough for spending some time. It's been great talking to you and just to get some time away from the kids and that. I really appreciate it, mate. It's been great chatting to you.
Cool.
And I'm going to put links to the descriptions to anything we've talked about. So galleries, up and coming shows, Lux, Instagram, all that sort of thing. So if you want to find anything, just look in the description below. But I mean, a huge thanks to everyone watching, and we'll be back next week with some more artists to chat to. So thanks very much. See you later.